Lovely to see you. So I'm live on Facebook at the same time as Instagram. So if I'm flitting between where I'm looking, that is why. I am a bit nervous, but it's not a nervous twitch or anything like that. Um, so today I wanted to talk about why life is like a garden path. Why life is like a garden path and how it relates to NLP. So, as always, I'm Rebecca Lockwood, your neuro-linguistic programming trainer, hypnotherapy trainer, and breakthrough coach trainer. I also train a couple of other modalities, including timeline therapy, EFT, energy, a couple of other bits and bobs that all help coaches to be the very best coaches that they can be. I'm also a dance teacher and aerial fitness teacher. Told myself I wasn't going to flex my biceps, but there we go. Too late, I've done it now. And I have a dance school as well, so it's all super exciting, lots of exciting things going on. And so let's dive in. And I've also got a squeaky chair, which we'll probably hear. Promise it's not me pooping, it is the chair. So let's dive in. What we're talking about is why life is like a garden path and how that relates to NLP. Now, I do a lot of comments and educational content for places like Stylist Magazine, Spirit and Destiny, Cosmopolitan, Women's Health, Men's Health, Marie Claire. I've been in tons and hundreds of different magazines and online platforms. And I did an interview series with Spirit and Destiny magazine, and something came up as I was talking about neuro-linguistic programming and how we use it and how we work it and where we can apply it. And this analogy really stuck with me. I don't really know where it came from when I first started using it, but it just came to me in this interview series, and it's just really stuck since. And I've used it since in our trainings. I've used it in one-to-one coaching to use as a metaphor. And so I just wanted to talk to you about it. And on that note, a shameless plug, I am available for one-to-one coaching as well. So if anybody does want to work on something, if they're feeling stuck, if you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling like there's something that you want to move through or move past, just give me a shout as well. So why is life like a garden path, and how does that relate to NLP? Now, the first thing that we want to think about is we are all going in some kind of direction, right? We are all going in some kind of direction, even if we are not intentional with that direction. Now, people who work in coaching or work in areas like therapists, counsellors, or in business, it's quite like a normal thing to set goals, to set intentions, to understand what the purpose of things are, what the purpose of things is. I'm not sure what the right way to say that is, but you know what I mean. And so when we have this direction, when we have this path that we're going on, it kind of lays out for us, right? And sometimes that can be intentional. I'm just trying to make sure I'm looking at my notes at the same time as I'm talking so I don't go off on like a proper tangent. And sometimes that can be intentional and sometimes it's not. Sometimes we can find ourselves like, have you ever found yourself in a place where you've thought to yourself, how the heck did I end up getting here? Like, what even happened? Or you have ended up, something's happened and you've taken a different action and you've changed your direction, your path has changed, and it's not been intentional really. And then all of a sudden you think, oh my God, I'm 33 and all of a sudden I'm in this place that I never thought I'd be in. And how did this even happen? So we're all going down this path. We're all going down our own life path, whether we're intentional about it or not. And sometimes we can be really intentional about it. We can set our intentions, we can set our goals, we can follow them goals, we can check in with them. I talk a lot within my NLP practitioner course about SMART goals and about 90-day plans and how to check in with 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years. And so we talk a lot about being really intentional. However, there may be other areas of life that you may not be intentional on. So you can be intentional on one area of life, like business, for example, and not in relationships, so another area of life. And you can end up in a situation where your business, you are where you thought you were going to be, but then in your relationships, you're like, how did I end up here? So there are many different areas of life. So we're not necessarily um, talking about each individual one, but as a whole as well. Does that make sense? So, the first reason why life is like a garden path and how that relates to NLP is that we're all heading in some kind of direction, whether we are intentional on it or not. The second thing to think about is that there are always going to be setbacks along the way. So we can be as positive as we want to be. We can be optimistic. We can be like, yes, everything is going to work out, everything is going to go in the right direction, but we can still experience setbacks, right? Because if we weren't to acknowledge and accept that we have setbacks and that we experience them, then really would be, it's like a bit like toxic positivity, right? And that's a full other conversation. But toxic positivity is the notion that we are brushing over negatives and saying things like, everything will be okay. And yes, everything probably will be okay, but we also can acknowledge and accept the emotions that we're feeling if they're negative, or if we are experiencing something that we need to move through. We don't want to try and flit ourselves out of it too fast. We don't want to try and not acknowledge it, because that can create even further anxiety, even further negative emotions. Whereas if we acknowledge our negative experiences and take the positive learnings from that, or just sit with them in a negative space for a while, then we can then move through them as well. So when we're walking down our garden path, we're going to end up with things that get in the way. And this leads me into number 3. We can use NLP tools to support us to clear our garden path, to be able to continue to walk down our garden path in the way that we want. So what I mean by this is, if you think about a garden path, as you're walking down this garden path, and your garden path is your life, there are going to be times where there is a gate and you need some tools and techniques to help open that gate, or you need to discover something, or be intentional, or find some way of opening the gate. There are going to be times where leaves have blown from trees, because there are different seasons of life, just like there are different seasons in the world. There are going to be times where a tree may have fallen over and is now in the way of your path, and you cannot move through it because it's too big just to climb over. And where NLP comes into this is, you have and you are armed, when you understand and you learn neuro-linguistic programming, you are armed with tools and techniques that support you to be able to chop up this tree and move it to the side of the road and use it for firewood. We are armed, and we have the techniques to get that brush and be able to sweep the leaves away, to be able to then walk through. We are armed with tools and techniques that allow us to be able to get that leaf blower and blow the leaves to the side. Every single obstacle and challenge that we come up against on our garden path, in our walk of life, we are armed with tools and techniques to support us. Now, this isn't to say that you learn neuro-linguistic programming and then all of a sudden you are fixed and you have everything you need and everything is okay, because again, that would be toxic positivity. This is really about understanding and acknowledging that as we walk down our path, as we walk our life, we are going to experience challenges. We are going to experience negative experiences. We're going to experience things that set us back. Now, NLP arms you with the tools and techniques to continue to overcome them things. You know, my little girl yesterday, I picked her up from school and she was so upset because she hadn't been picked for the football team. And I just wanted to cry for her. I just wish I could just pick her up and just take it away and just save her from the way she was feeling, because she very clearly was really upset. And so the only thing that I could do was help her understand how she was feeling, why she was feeling the way she was feeling, and perhaps have some tools and techniques to help her either, one, overcome the current situation. And two, next time something like that happens, she already has that knowledge then to be able to understand it as it happens and perhaps do something about it in the process of it happening, so it doesn't cause as much upset and as much of a challenge. But yeah, of course it would still be a challenge if it happened again or something similar happened again, but it would be responded to in a different way. And that's the key thing really to remember, that things are always going to happen. Life is going to continue to happen. We're going to continue to walk down our garden path. But with NLP, with neuro linguistic programming, we're told, we are told, we have our tool pack, we have our bag of goodies that we're able to pull from whenever we need them. So just to recap then, why life is like a garden path and how this relates to neuro linguistic programming. 1, we are all heading in some direction. Whether we are intentional on that direction or not, we are still walking down our garden path. 2, there are always going to be setbacks along the way. Neuro-linguistic programming arms us with the way that we can deal with them challenges as they come up. And 3, the tools and techniques that we learn help us to continually move down that path in a way that feels good, even through the negatives and the hard times. We're able to move through them in a way that supports us and doesn't just brush over things. Okay, so that is me. As always, I am Rebecca Lockwood, your neuro-linguistic programming trainer, hypnotherapy trainer and breakthrough coach trainer. I do also have some training coming up. So I have my full NLP practitioner and breakthrough coaching course coming up. It is going to be delivered in a 3-month container. We're going to start in June. And we will be doing live weekly calls, and you'll submit coursework online. There then is an optional way to do it, which you can add on if you want to do an intensive 6 days of training where you will also learn timeline therapy. If you are interested in having a chat about the course, just pop me a message and let me know. If you'd like to learn more about neuro-linguistic programming before making a decision, or you'd just like to dive a bit more into understanding it a bit more for yourself first, you can join my free training, which is coming up on Tuesday. So pop me a message and I'll pop the link. If you're on Instagram, you have to pop me a message for the link. But if you're on Facebook with me, the link is in the description above. Okay, that's it from me. As I said, this was why life is like a garden path and how it relates to NLP. I hope that this was helpful. And if there's anything that you'd like to request or any questions that you have, just give me a shout.